Hey everyone, welcome back to The Growth Show. I'm your host, Whitney, and today I have a returning guest who I know a lot of you love the first time around, Dr. Annie Cole. So if you listen to episode 57, you remember Annie as the money coach and financial educator who went from a $26,000 a year social work salary to running her own multi-six-figure coaching business. She's the founder of Money Essentials for Women, and last time we talked about financial confidence, profit margins, and smart marketing strategies. And this time on the show, we're zooming in on something new. Annie just released a book, which I had a preview of and think is amazing, called How Six-Figure Business Owners Attract More Customers. And the core idea really resonated with me when I first read it because her argument is that there are certain customer attraction strategies built for your specific business, and most practitioners are exhausting themselves using the wrong ones. Which if you've ever felt like you are doing all of the marketing things and still not seeing the clients coming in that you want, this is going to really hit home for you. So today we are going deep on that framework, how it applies to practitioners, health practitioners specifically, and how you can figure out which strategies you should actually be focusing on and which ones maybe to leave behind. So let's dive in. Hey, Annie, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you back and chat with you again. If anyone missed you on the episode that you were on, episode 57 before, just give us like a real quick 30-second version of who you are and what you do, and then tell us what's changed since we last talked.
Yes. So I'm Dr. Annie Cole. I am an education researcher by trade. So my doctorate is in educational neuroscience. I have done a lot of different things, but I'm a 3 times founder. I've founded a couple different companies, gone in a few different directions. And since we last spoke, I have put together a book that I just published, really excited about it. And actually the book just came about because I was spending a lot of time with other business owners talking about the hardest part about business is once you get started, how do you get customers? So I was just sharing my insider tips with people, sending them emails, sending them my templates, and I thought I need to turn this into something more accessible. So I decided to turn it into a book that I can share with the world. So that's where I'm at today.
Yeah, I love it. I got an early preview of the book and I was reading through it, and I just think anyone in business needs to get this book because it's really just like a great overview of so many different things. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So the book is called How Six-Figure Business Owners Attract More Customers. And what made you want to write this specific book right now? What are you seeing in your coaching work that isn't being said out there that really needs to be said?
I think the number one thing that I see, especially for brand new business owners, is I just have to post on social media and I have to post a lot. That's the number
Yeah.
one thing I hear from people. And it's the number one thing I was told when I first got started. That is exhausting. And I will say I did get customers from social media, but actually I have made way more money using strategies that had nothing to do with social media. And these days I barely even go on my Instagram or post on socials. So I just want to encourage folks, if you think that's the only thing you have to do and you hate social media, it is not the only way to get out there. I think there's also this idea that we really need to be hitting the ground running and chasing customers. And there's so many different types of customers. There's customers who are hot and ready to buy. There's customers who are completely cold. And I think, again, a lot of people are taught to just try to convert anyone when really we can be intentional about who is that persona you're chasing. Are you giving them a product or something that is actually really exciting for them and they want to purchase it? And are you getting in front of them in the right way?
Yeah, love that. So the big idea in the book is that there's one attraction strategy for attracting customers built for each business. And most people are probably actually using the wrong one. And like you gave the example of social media, which I can relate to very much. This idea that people are using the wrong strategy and that there can be like a good fit for people. Can you unpack that a little bit more for us? And what does the wrong strategy versus the right strategy actually look like day to day?
Yeah. So there are actually 15 different strategies that I cover in the book. And these are big picture categories. So even online communities, that's one of them. You could have an online community that you own. You could be going into online communities and looking for referrals. You could have an online course that has an online community. So there's a lot of pieces within the 15. There are truly hundreds of ways to be finding and connecting with customers. And I think the biggest problem people have when they first start is that they just don't know that. And for example, you could be getting media features, and every time you land an article online, it sends traffic to your website and people go through your lead magnet funnel or sign up for a consulting call. You can do the social media route. You can set up a referral program with an incentive. You can just go to conferences and events or become a speaker. There's so much you can do. And people, when they don't think about the different strategies available to them, I think they just default to whatever one they see someone else doing. So the best thing that I encourage people to do, which is very practical, is to start thinking more like a human. So think about that person that is your customer. They're waking up a day in their life, they're thinking about their problem. Let's say they're a mom, they have a toddler, the toddler is having some sort of experience, and the mom is immediately trying to find the solution. Is the mom scrolling Instagram or is she Googling? If she is Googling for an answer, maybe you want to work on SEO or AI optimization so that you're the search result that shows up. Is she going to her doctor and wants to get a referral from her doctor? If that's the path, you maybe want to set up partnership programs with doctors and other service providers so that they can refer people in. So think about your human in a real human way, and you'll start to get really creative ideas on how you can get customers.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. So, yeah, 15 strategies in the book. That's wonderful too, because I think the challenge can be too when you are a new business owner. The social media, it's okay, that's there. Yeah, I don't want to do it. So many of my listeners and clients, we all hate social media. I think it's like just a universal thing for so many of us. But then it becomes that question of, okay, then what's the alternative? And I think that's when it starts getting really fuzzy out there for a lot of people, because it's then very hard to, just like what you said, like you do the thing that you see people doing. And so it's very easy to see people doing social media because you see those people on Instagram and you see their posts. But then it really becomes hard to reverse engineer and figure out, okay, if someone's not on Instagram, what are they doing? Because those things are not visible to us as just an outsider trying to model after that business owner who has now built a successful practice, and we're wanting to follow in their footsteps, and which makes perfect sense. We look at other people for that inspiration, but it's really hard to actually figure that out and reverse engineer it without understanding the strategies. So could you talk us through the different strategies at a high level? Because I think it would help people to just understand like the full menu of things before we dive into, okay, how do you pick which one?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll share a couple examples that are coming to mind too that I think fit for this audience. A couple folks, one is a dentist that I know and was thinking about how to get in front of folks. Old school, sending mailers, that can work really well. You can think about local advertising, either getting referrals where you work with they had another practice that they were receiving referrals from. And maybe you set up an incentive program so that if one dental office is overflowing, they send you a referral, you send a kickback to them. That could be one way to do it. I'm working with a massage therapist. She just created an online course. She is going to be partnering with other wellness centers and with universities to get students enrolled in her course, and they get a kickback when they refer someone in. So that one in particular, I call it partnerships, but partnerships can look all kinds of ways because you can partner with individuals. You can have an affiliate program where you already have links set up. You can have some sort of kickback program that's very casual and you just send someone a gift card when they send you a referral. But I'll go through some of the other ones. So I've named quite a few. So we have social media. Online communities, again, is where you either host your own online community or you go into other ones and you are just being a thought partner, being an advice giver, being someone who people are attracted to. We have events, so you can do online workshops, you can have a webinar funnel, you can go to conferences, speaking events, being in the community, being someone who's out there getting the other people's attention. You can have partnerships. PR is another big one, so landing those media features that send traffic. A lot of these, think about whether they are short term or they're evergreen. So things like getting a PR feature or even doing a podcast interview like this, these are evergreen because they're going to live on forever on the internet. So they will forever send you traffic versus something that's just a one-time event like going to a conference. So I personally like doing the evergreen pieces. We have cold outreach, which a lot of people hate, but actually I filled 20 seats in my membership program just by doing cold outreach on LinkedIn. If you send good messages, you can have good results. If you're not salesy and you truly connect with people, it can work really well. There's also Q&A sites. This is an interesting one, but let's say you get yourself listed in a directory somewhere, or you have your business is you have a Google business site so that people can leave reviews. You have a presence on Reddit, just online places where people are going to find you. Let me think of a few others. Of course, lead magnet funnels, those are really popular. Those can take a lot of different forms. You can just have a standalone email newsletter. So you can create a newsletter as your primary hub where you send information, and then you either monetize your newsletter by letting other people advertise on it, or you have a call to action for your services and products at the bottom of every newsletter. That's very popular. So those are just a few, but again, so many that you can pick from.
Yep. Yeah. I think there are ones that are just underutilized, or maybe people have tried one of those once, but just because you did it once doesn't mean that it can't work for you. Or I think for some of these things too, you just have to stick with it a little bit to see results. And I think, yeah, the partnerships one, which for dietitians, a lot of times, I think in your book, you talk about referrals as being something more about like your customers giving referrals and all of that. But a lot of them, I think just folks listening, partnerships and referrals with doctors, similar kind of vibe where you are just speaking to service providers, complementary service providers in your area, and seeing how you can support them in their practice. And I think one thing that's interesting too, and you mentioned cold outreach, I think one of the things is also to remember that we're just trying to be of service. Yes, we are selling, but if you really come to it from that mindset, all of these things can feel a lot more comfortable, I think.
Yes, so true. I was just thinking about that. If you wanted to set up a referral program with a doctor, think, well, I'll actually give an example of this. So when I was doing financial coaching one-on-one, I started reaching out to certified professionals because I knew that I needed their connection and they needed me. They are doing wealth advising, financial planning, very technical work. They don't have time to sit there and maybe create a budget or talk about money mindset with someone. So whenever I would speak to someone, they would say, I can't wait to send someone to you, because at the end of our conversation of this technical work, I need someone who has the time and the skill to do this other work with this person. The doctor's going to feel the same way. If you have maybe like a one pager or a flyer or a QR code, something simple, and you say, hey, the person that comes to you, you don't have this to offer, I will step in and offer it. And hey, I'll give you a referral fee just to be able to support your clients. They're going to love that. So yes, I think being of service and having the service mindset will help make sales feel easier for you.
Yeah, totally. So, speaking about our audience and our listeners being dietitians and therapists and health coaches, and in this health and wellness and nutrition space, running usually one-to-one or maybe small group practices or their group coaching programs and whatnot, what strategies in your mind would probably fit best for this audience? And also, which ones should they maybe skip or maybe not prioritize first?
Yeah. I think the cool thing is that you can test, set some hypotheses, go back to the original scientific experiment that we all learned in probably third grade. What do you hypothesize will work? Test it and then figure out what works for you. So, honestly, any of these strategies could work for someone who is in that health and wellness space. You could go the social media route if you have really good optimized converting content. You can set up, and I'm big on automation. So if you're going to do content, have some sort of a DM sequence that automatically goes out when people use a keyword that still very much works. Have a funnel set up so that people can get something free that's really beneficial, and it has to be really good so they want to come in your door. And then make sure your services are aligned with what people need. So you can go the social media route. I know a lot of us do not want to do that. So if you don't want to do that, if your audience is searching online, do not downplay SEO and AI optimization. So if you're new to those terms, SEO is search engine optimization. Basically, how do you make your website rank when someone searches on Google? AI optimization is the same thing, but how do I get my business to show up in ChatGPT? There's a ton of tips in the book on how to do this. I started working with someone because one of my goals is to show up more in ChatGPT. So I worked with someone this year. We did a little bit of work on my website. We just optimized, added some keywords, added some blog content. I already had a few mentions in ChatGPT within 30 days of work. This is a long-term strategy. It's something you're going to want to do for probably 6 months to really see results, but it can work that fast. There are also lots of really cool tools out there these days that will tell you your ranking in AI search. If you just do a quick Google search, you'll find the most popular one these days. But it can tell you, hey, if you're currently here, if you did XYZ to your website, you'd rank here. So getting your website to show up in search, I think, is a really big one for health professionals because a lot of people are searching online. Partnerships are huge, getting referrals from complementary services. And then I think potentially like the lead magnet workshop funnel could be really good if you had a workshop topic that people were really interested about and you got very niche, like gut health for someone who has, I'm not a health expert, something very uniquely specific. I think those could get a lot of traffic. And the nice thing is when you want to run a webinar, create an event and you can post an event, Facebook event, LinkedIn event, and then Eventbrite is totally free. I used to run a lot of events on there. People can sign up and you can just promote it on your socials, but those platforms are also just promoting the event on your behalf. So you can get tons of people to sign up, bring them into your world, give them something free, and invite them to do a consultation call.
Yeah, all of those sound really great. And I definitely see practitioners using those. And yeah, I think trying to think of some of the other 15 in the book, like anything, I don't know if there's any that we would say absolutely don't do that strategy. I think that's kind of the
No,
takeaway.
they
It's not that,
all
yeah.
work. Yeah, the only other thing I'd say, one that I personally use a lot is gig and freelancer platforms. I don't know in the health space if there are any specific platforms for that, but I will just say this just happened to me a week ago. So I have online profiles on a bunch of different sites. I would encourage you, as long as it doesn't take too much time, put yourself out there because it's just one more place you're going to show up. Someone found my profile, invited me to apply for a job, and I landed a $30,000 contract within a week. And it was just literally someone found me, found my services. It wasn't my website. They found me on a gig platform. These can be Upwork, Fiverr, Catalant, Contra, freelancer.com. There are so many that are popping up every day. I'm sure I'm not even covering the newest ones. But seriously, create a strong bio that describes who you are, your social proof and credibilities, maybe a testimonial, and then your types of services and how people can work with you. Get a good headshot, use AI if you need, put those two things on a couple different places, and then people can just find you. So you never know. That came totally out of the blue for me. That happens all the time. I get messages of people finding me, and
Yeah.
that's the dream. That's what you want. You want
Yeah,
people to
it's the
find
dream.
you,
Yes,
message you,
attraction.
offer you thousands of dollars, and you're like, yes, please.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's a really great point to make too for especially the dietitians or the therapists listening, where yes, you may be counseling one to one. And I don't know if those platforms really super fit for one to one counseling, but you have so many other skill sets as well, and probably other interests and things that you love doing. Like maybe you would want to be a scientific reviewer of content, come in and be a nutrition expert, a subject matter expert in some way. Maybe you really like doing training for staff or food safety inspections or recipe nutrition analysis or food photography or there's so many different things. And I think also it allows you to have various income streams and revenue streams too. We actually had someone on the podcast, I think it was last week, speaking about so many different ways that dietitians and really any kind of health practitioner can make money, and it's not just one way. And so I think that's especially that point is a really great strategy to bring in those other income streams where you're not having to go and cold pitch yourself to a large organization on LinkedIn. You can actually have them come to you by putting yourself
Yeah.
out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Another thing I do related to gig work, job boards can be a great place to find contract and part-time work. So, to what you're saying, in addition to the one-on-one work, even if you don't want a 9 to 5 job, there are tons of opportunities where folks are posting the contract work. So, don't forget to look for those kinds of things. You may find that there's something health related on there too.
Yep. That's a great point. Yeah. I come from the school nutrition space, and there's a lot of small school districts out there where they don't really have the budget or need to have a dietitian on staff throughout the whole school year. But there's definitely those opportunities. Same with government organizations where they need to have someone coming in for a small contract. So I think the idea is you're spreading both the potential revenue types that you can be bringing in, but then also the attraction strategies that you're putting out there. And some of these are really like set it and forget it kinds of things. Like you mentioned, like the Evergreen, that to me, putting yourself on a job board or one of those gig sites, that's even easier than pitching yourself to a podcast. That's just
Yeah. It just lives. It lives on, and then you, over time, you can adjust it. It will do no harm. It's just one more way that you show up when people are searching online, and online presence is everything. And that's why I personally, when I first got started, I tried quite a few different avenues because I just wanted to get
mm-hmm.
myself out there. So I was doing podcasts, PR and media. You can also pay to get featured in other people's newsletters, which is pretty cool. I think I talk about this in the book, but there's this website called Paved, Paved.com. They list all of the major newsletters out there and their subscriber count and then their open rates. And then they have estimates right there where you can pitch and say, I want to have a full feature or I want to have a small snippet ad, and it'll have the prices on there. I've done that a couple times and gotten a ton of traffic. So if you want a very niche, I'm going to go post this new offer in a health newsletter, you might pay $500 and get 30 people coming through and signing up. So that can be a huge one. And that's just a one-time offer, but get enough people in, and then make sure you're asking your clients for referrals, getting their testimonials, and then posting that on social, and it becomes its own engine for more leads.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's great. And I think also this idea of feeling like you need to build your own audience, and that's the only thing that you're doing when you're trying to grow, where borrowing other people's audiences, like some of these techniques, even getting media features, you're borrowing that audience, that news station, that radio station, that publication online. They have built an audience. They are paying to build that audience. So if you can give some expertise and have them backlink to your site and talk about you, that's just an audience you're borrowing that you didn't have to pay for, which is wonderful.
Yes. I have my Instagram following, I think, is 800 people. I don't have a huge following, and I've made almost $500,000 in 2 years. You do not have to have a social media following. I borrow audiences all the time. One cool statistic about media features, depending on the outlet. So there's smaller ones. I was in the finance space, so NerdWallet, Go Banking Rates, all the way up to Business Insider, Fortune, some of the bigger ones. It's anywhere from 4,000 to 40,000 readers on a single article. And those are not just people scrolling by and looking and maybe being interested. Those are people reading the article. And then at one point they get to your quote, you say something powerful, your name is hyperlinked back to your website. That is going to be a warm lead. They are bought in because they read. It's kind of like podcasting. You're very much storytelling. You're giving your credibility, similar to social media, but you can get in front of a lot of eyes that way.
Yeah. I think that just goes again to this point of a lot of the most successful businesses out there. You're not seeing all of these other hidden ways that they're marketing and attracting customers, because we're just sometimes focused on, oh, they have such a large following, or they don't have a large following, but they're making bank. How are they doing it? These are the ways.
Yes.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
So one thing that I want to bring up and ask about are the business owners who are doing all the things, and they are spinning a bajillion plates, and and we've talked about a lot of these different channels, and they're maybe doing a lot of different things all at once, and they're not seeing any results. And so there's burnout, there's frustration. So how would someone figure out where to focus at that point?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked about this because I think it is very common. I've experienced it. I'm sure you've experienced it. I think every business owner I talk to has experienced this, especially if you don't come from a marketing or sales background. It's just hard to figure it out. For the first thing I would say is do this personal audit to ask yourself what is working and what's not, and in what way. So for example, are you getting a ton of views but no conversions? That might mean you're doing a great job at getting visible. People are interested and they are seeing your initial content. So they read an article, they saw your social media content, but then when they got to the point of the lead magnet or whatever you're selling, that didn't convert. That's giving you some really good information that your content's doing well, but whatever you're selling isn't enough. If that was what I was figuring out, I would probably do some free consultations. I would try to ask people, I'll pay you $10 for 10 minutes of your time. get on a live call with me, look at what I'm offering, give me honest feedback because something is wrong. Either it's not priced right, it's not a compelling offer, it's
Mm-hmm.
too bland, something is wrong with your sales messaging, something there. So that's what I would do. If it's the opposite, you're getting no visibility, so you don't even have enough people to tell you if your offers are wrong, it's a visibility problem. And in that case, I would work on the things that are going to get you in front of more people. And potentially, I would try 2 to 3 strategies at a time, no more than that, to see which one gets you better visibility. So potentially social media, podcasting, SEO or AI optimization, and then measure for 30 to 60 days. Give yourself enough time, not 1 week, 30 to
Yeah.
60 days, see which one gives you the most visibility. And then if you're getting the visibility, you'll then be able to see if people are trickling through because you have to think about your entire funnel. Visibility is when someone just finds out about you all the way to they're intrigued. They maybe engage with your freebies lead magnets. They maybe get on a consulting call. They're talking about buying from you. They buy from you. They buy from you multiple times. So think about where you're at, and that's where you should focus on improving. A lot of people just change their niche or change their products or change their marketing strategy without thinking where they're at in that process. So be really intentional so you don't focus on the wrong thing because then you'll just keep spinning, stay in the same
Mm-hmm.
place.
Yeah. Yeah. I know you're a researcher. And so looking at your business and what's happening from that stepped back researcher lens, and it can be tough when we're
Yeah.
in it. We just think
Yeah.
nothing's working. Everyone hates us. We should just go away.
True.
And it just feels like really overwhelming. I've been there. So I'm speaking a bit from experience.
Yes.
So you can just feel that way, but really you do need to look at it from a scientific standpoint of, okay, where are the different pieces? And also being easier on yourself. I've definitely spoken to business owners or heard from clients where they said this thing didn't work, but then it turns out that with the numbers that came through and how many people converted, it did work. It just didn't work necessarily in your expectation, which I think also a lot of us have very high expectations of what's going to happen when we put an
Yes.
offer out there or host a webinar. And so I maybe permission to just say, like, really either learn from someone else about what working actually is, or I don't know how to go about that, but to think that an
Yeah.
experiment failed, a lot of times it probably actually didn't.
Yeah. And it's totally okay if it does too. I've had offers that I put out there that had no buyers and they're a part of my learning journey. I've had other offers that went out that did great. I have things that continue to make me money over many years. So don't be too hard on yourself to have it all figured out. I would just encourage people that every business owner is still experimenting. Like we are all experimenting. We figure out a little bit of what works and then the next level and the next level. So it's okay to try things and have them not work. And yes, I think you're right. Having a little bit of success, like having 3 to 5 people show up to your workshop when you are brand new and you have no audience or low audience, huge. Like you got people to show up to a workshop. That is
Yeah.
hard to do, especially when people don't want to go to live stuff.
Yeah.
Honestly, like 3 to 5, feel excited. If you are a huge mega influencer, maybe you have 100 to 200 people. I never had that. And you don't need a ton of people to make sales and conversions. Honestly, all of my sales and conversions happen usually with one person at a time. I'm getting to know them, I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking to them, I'm pitching them, we end up closing the deal. But it's not, oh, I had 10 people and I closed 8 out of 10. No,
Yeah.
it's treat one person at a time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So just great advice. Yeah, definitely give yourself some grace and realize now when it comes to live webinars, just as a stat, the show up rate is 25% if you're lucky. Like that's a great
Yeah.
show up rate these days. So especially if you're not running ads to that webinar and you're just trying with a small audience and you get 200 people registered, like the fact that you had, and I'm terrible at math on the fly.
Yeah,
Not
200, that would be
50?
50. If you
Yeah.
had 50 people, that would be honestly insane. I think
Yeah.
that's like you are high echelon.
Yeah.
You
By
are doing
having that many
something
people.
amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep in mind that, the stats for online business success, like these different little pieces of your process, each one, the numbers are probably lower than you think.
Yeah. And one other thing that I will say, I know Alex Hormozy has said this, and I truly believe it. sell something that's easy to sell before you sell something that's hard to sell. Imagine the person selling water in the desert. You're gonna make money because it's just an easy sell.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing one-on-one financial coaching, and I will just be honest, like I liked doing it, but I transitioned away because it is so competitive. It took so
Mm.
much work to get clients for one-on-one,
Hmm.
and it just became a lot of work for the return. I have switched up my offer and my services many times, and I make way more money now doing a different service that is more desired and harder to find in the market. So we have to ask ourselves that hard question. If you are in a very flooded market and you want to offer a service that everyone else offers, it might just be harder. So I think we
Mm-hmm.
should be realistic about that too, because I think yes, you can find ways to stand out for sure. Give yourself unique features and unique things that you're offering so that you're more attractive than others, or else you'll blend in. But it is harder if you're in a busy market with a lot of other people offering the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, one thing that I really loved in your framework too was this idea of matching the strategy to the business model. So, if we had two different practitioners, but they were trying the same channel, we won't talk about social media. Let's talk about referrals for a second or partnerships.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of two different practitioners where both of them trying to do partnerships, why it might work really well for one and maybe it just actually doesn't work well for another, maybe because of their business model or something else that's going on?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's say I think it works really well for someone who wants those one-on-one individual referrals and either has a strong network or is really good and comfortable at building that network, because building that network will probably include some cold outreach if you don't already have it. That could
Mm-hmm.
be in-person visits, emails, DMing social media accounts, but you're going to be reaching out to other folks to say, and I have some templates in the book on exactly what to send, but basically something very that serves both people.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm so and love the work you're doing. I see some synergy here in us being able to potentially refer partners, clients to each other. What do you think about a conversation to talk about a referral program or just referring clients to each other? It can
Mm-hmm.
be that casual, and then you can define the details later. So I
Yeah.
think that can work really well. Let's say you are someone who is doing one-on-one or a group program and you really have more of a national focus, and you're looking at not recruiting just one-on-one referrals, but you want to have a high number of people coming in, you have a team behind you, you're looking for quantity.
Yeah.
In that case, maybe you're not going to do the partnership referral program where you're getting individual referrals. An affiliate program might actually be a better version of that, similar to
Mm-hmm.
what a lot of businesses do. You can set up an affiliate program where lots and lots of people can become your referral partners, even other individuals. That's going
Mm-hmm.
to give you more quantity, and you're tapping into a national online audience, and people just use an affiliate link. They know the rules and how to use it. It becomes
Yeah.
very big. So those are two different ways I would approach that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it can be that the strategy could still work, but maybe the version of it needs to be matched to with who you're going after, the types of people or resources that are involved in whatever that strategy is, and just making sure that it is the right fit for what you're trying to do. Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of strategies that are maybe less well known or getting featured, like you talked a little bit about like media features and things like that and how powerful that could be. So what does that actually look like on a realistic scale for someone who's maybe not trying to go viral or land in Forbes? Like, where
Mm-hmm.
can these strategies work for people that are just like, I just want a regular business. I just want it to not be so
Yes.
hard.
Yes, there's so many ways that you do not have to shoot for the moon and try to get
Mhm.
in Business Insider and Forbes. You can just, and sometimes it's even better. A lot of times, if people are going for podcasts, for example, they think, I need to get on the number one podcast in my niche. Maybe, but you can also get in a smaller podcast. It's easier to get in, so your acceptance rate will be higher. Get
Mhm.
on 5 of those, and they have an audience of 2,000 people that are raving fans. They just are obsessed and love the podcast. They listen all the time. Those people are going to be warm and ready to convert, versus a very large podcast has a very large audience of people that maybe don't listen every week and maybe aren't high to convert, especially if it's been around for a while. So you just never know. In that case, I have some tips in the book, but I'll just also share. you can reach out to either podcasts or PR in a couple different ways. For podcasts, you can do online searches for the podcast. If they have a podcast, a lot of times on their website, it'll just say, want to be a guest, apply here. And you can apply right on the website. And you'll want to have a couple ideas ready because you're never going to want to just say, I'm a health coach, I want to be on the podcast. No, you want to hook, just like social media. You want something exciting. I helped someone go from drop 15 pounds in a month while taking care of a newborn or something that is very intriguing to people. Have a hook you want to send. Same with PR. So with PR, I love Quoted. It's QWOTED.com. It's basically a marketplace where writers will post the content that they need help with. So Go Banking Rates might say, hey, I'm writing an article on budgeting tips. I'd love for someone to pitch in. You pitch to them. Sometimes there's a lot of them that are free. Some of them are paid to pitch. You send your pitch. Same thing. You just send a hook, a little bit about you. If they like you, they'll then feature you and let you know they want to feature you. So both of those, you can do that basically for no cost, a little bit of time. Put yourself out there to maybe 5 podcasts and 5 media features and see what you get. And then once you do, those are evergreen. So they're just going to send you traffic forever.
Yep. That's great. So yeah, you don't need to be I think that's very smart. Like you don't need to be shooting for the moon. And frankly, trying to shoot for the moon may actually not be a great strategy for many of us if we're very niched. And for example, for me, I don't want to be selling web design services to every business out there. I really want to be speaking to health practitioners specifically. So I don't want to be featured in gigantic publications where every person under the sun is seen, because I don't want to sell to most of those people.
Exactly.
Even if there's a very large listenership or following, it just doesn't really benefit me at the end of the day, besides maybe like some clout or something like that, which occasionally that could be fine, but it's not really serving a business purpose. I'm certainly not going to devote a ton of my time and energy to keep chasing after those kinds of things.
Yeah. The only time I would say that it can be really powerful if you are just getting started and you're trying to build your social credibility and you want to have some as seen in media icons on your website, you can speed up the process by working with a PR specialist. There's a lot of them out there. They basically pitch on your behalf and they already have connections to these big outlets. So your chance of getting in is a lot higher. I worked with a PR specialist and I think it was $1,500 a month. I did that for 3 months when I first got started, got a ton of exposure under my belt and put those logos on my website. And then once I learned the process, I continue to do it myself to this day. But I worked with her to really have her teach me and help me get those ins. Once you get the ins, the cool thing is I have some people that will email me almost every week asking for pitches now. They just email me and they're like, hey, can you write on this? And so I'm getting media features all the time because writers need good people. They need people to be experts for them. So once you get in with someone, it's easy to keep the process going. So if you really want to kickstart it, that's worth the money for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. So for practitioners who are maybe running ads or building an email list, it's always a big topic. Email is always a big topic on the podcast, but we've been talking about ads too. And I know you cover that in the book as well as a potential strategy to employ. So where does that framework fit in with that and doing ads and email list building? Is that something that's instead of some of these strategies? Is it on top of that or something else?
Such a good question. I think it's both and. So let's touch on paid ads first. Personally, I would say paid ads are most successful when you have already refined your message and know what works. So let's say you're doing organic posting and you find these sorts of messages tend to get lots of likes or have turned into some conversions. Turning that into a paid ad is a great idea. If you want to use paid ads to speed up your learning experience and you have the money to do it, that can also help you because you're just going to force it in front of people, see how many people click on it, see how many people convert. So great to get people in the door, especially to get onto your email list. Click on it, sign up for a lead magnet, get on your email list. Email nurture is very valuable. I think it is also, you can use it as a standalone. So if you do that, I would form it as a newsletter. Has to be very valuable content. Some people send daily emails. I think that's way too much. If I was doing it, I used to do a weekly newsletter, and sending a weekly newsletter that is highly valuable, either resource links, a quick summary, some sort of actionable tip that people can use right away. And then at the
Mhm.
bottom, have some sort of call to action. Like, if you're interested in working with me, here's more information. So I would either pose it as the newsletter where people sign up, they get your info regularly and they're consuming it. Or if you have any sort of lead magnet funnel, people come into your world and give you their email, have
Mhm.
either both a 5 email sequence that's a welcome sequence that tells them who you are, how they can work with you, solve some micro problems for them in the first 5, and then I
Mhm.
would transition them into my newsletter.
Yeah. And so these are things I've talked about how, yes, email, it's not completely automated. You are still writing the email every week, but you compare that to the amount of work that goes into social media, for example. And to me, these things can be running in the background. And yes, you spend maybe an hour writing that email every week, or you're repurposing content that you're also putting out for search. You're sharing a blog post that you've already written and all of that. And so saving that time from trying to figure out all these social media reels and the editing and the hooks and all of that, and making sure you have email that is running in the background. And that way you can be doing more of that partnership building and that networking, or going to more events, or doing any of these other tactics and strategies that maybe you found also work for you. So we're not really saying do one or the other, but pick a
Yeah.
few. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say pick a few and always be studying what your outcomes are, because you can stick with a few and one is working really well, two need to be let go of, two are working really well, you want to use them exclusively, or all three are going well, but you want to put 80% of your effort into one. Let yourself be open to change, or none of them are working and I'm going to switch it up for 30 to 60 days and be intentional and consistent. Because I think that's the other
Mm-hmm.
thing I did a lot, and I know a lot of business owners do. You'll switch it up and you'll try it for 2 weeks. You won't get any traction, and then you just
Yeah.
give up. And it does take a little bit of time for things to work on your behalf. So just make sure
Mm-hmm.
you're giving it time. Don't give up too quickly, but be open to pivoting if you're not seeing anything within 30 to 60 days, I would say.
Okay, that's good. So you actually have a quiz that people can take to figure out what could be their best fit strategy and where they should be starting to do some of this experimentation and kind of figure out what could work for them. So you want to talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that quiz?
Yeah, it's completely free. The link will be in the show notes. You basically show up to the quiz. It's going to ask you some information about your business to help you pinpoint which one is best for you. So it will ask the type of business approach you have, if you're selling business to consumer, if you're an online business, product-based business, what your budget is for your marketing, if you have a budget for something like paid ads, if you have no money at all and you need to use free approaches. It really asks all these different pieces, and then it gives you your top 3 of the 15, and it not only gives you the top 3, but it explains why it's a good fit for you. And then the page, all the information below it gives you more information about all the different strategies. So I tried to make it super, super helpful. It's not just a quiz for quiz sake. It's a
Yeah.
quiz that you can finish and know these are the 3 I'm going to try. I'm going to go try them right away. So very action oriented. If you're feeling stuck, I highly encourage you to try it.
Yeah, that sounds great. And then the book is just a wonderful supplement because it just goes strategy by strategy, like the action items. Like you said, there's templates in there for, even I saw you had a great profile, like your profile for the gig websites, what had worked for you. I think the quiz is like such a great spot. It's like an assessment, honestly, to help people pinpoint that. And then, yeah, you can go deeper. So that's great. And so finally, between the book, the quiz, and the coaching that you offer too, where should listeners go first? What's your recommendation?
Yeah, I think the website has everything. So money-essentials.com. All my socials are linked there. The book is there. The quiz is there. And then lots of free resources. I have tons of blog content. And yeah, so much you can do there just to get started. And then, like you shared, the book really goes into detail. I went all out. I shared all the things, like my personal pitch templates, the things I send in DMs. Every single thing I have done is in there. So I'm not holding anything back. That has really helped me build my own 6-figure business.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope it's helpful to folks. And I'm always available if you want to send me a message on Instagram. My Instagram is on there. I'm at Build Wealth with Annie. Yeah, I just want to be a resource for folks. I know what it's like to start a business. And once you can hit the ground running, we need more successful business owners to get past that first hurdle. So I am all about helping people get there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm so happy that you published this book. I think it's going to be helpful for so many people. And I really appreciate you being so open and giving with all of your knowledge and the experience that you've, the battle tested strategies, the things that
Yes.
you've helped people do that you've done yourself. And just so that, yeah, like you mentioned, we just want to see more successful business owners out there. Any final parting words before we sign off here?
I would say don't let your early hurdles define your success, because I don't remember the statistic, but most business owners fail multiple times before they find success. So they may start multiple ventures before they make any money. And most business owners will quit and go back to a 9 to 5 because they couldn't make it work. Just know that is the norm. And that is what you're going to be facing at first, and that it takes time. Don't hesitate to reach out to other people to help you, because there's so many people who have passed the hurdle that can help you get further. It doesn't have to cost $10,000 to join an online program. You can just find someone and ask to meet with them for an hour, free or pay for their time. But seriously, find people who can help you get past that hurdle, because that's the norm that we're all trying to get over.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Annie. This was such a great conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome anytime.
All right, Annie, thank you so much for coming on to the show. I think a lot of people listening are going to realize that they've been pouring maybe a little too much energy into the wrong channel or channels for their business, which honestly for me is so freeing to think about and just know, okay, there are other options out there and here's where I should be focusing. So I hope you feel that relief too after listening today. So remember, Annie has a free quiz that will help you identify which customer attraction strategies really fit your specific business. She has a lot of questions in that quiz that you can answer and then get that strategy suggestion for you. So the link is in the show notes, and you can also grab her book from her website. And we have that link in the show notes too. And you can find Annie on Instagram at Build Wealth with Annie. And you can find her over on LinkedIn as well. And if you haven't listened to Annie's first appearance on the show yet, go back and check out episode 57. It's a great companion to this conversation, especially on the money confidence side of things. And if this episode gave you clarity on where to focus in your marketing, make sure to share it with one of your business besties who needs to hear it. And as always, hit follow so that you never miss an episode, and subscribe to the podcast. I will see you on the next episode of The Growth Show. Thanks so much for listening.